Hey heroes, welcome in. Today we're going to get into the absolute universe and be sure to stick around for our thoughts on Fantastic Four First
Mm,
Steps. We got some things to say about it. Not much to release, but there's, a lot to say
Some
already.
nerves to get out.
Yeah, we would appreciate it if you gave us a follow at Hosts4Hire podcast on all socials. Hosts4Hire with the number 4
We're
podcast.
chasing that 10K, you guys. We want it. We need it. We're desperate for it. So please help us get there, and we will be eternally in your debt.
Yes, we
But yeah,
did an
let's get
episode.
into this absolute
Yeah,
universe, man.
we did an episode on it, which if you want to go check it out, on the first couple issues of the first three Batman, Superman, and Wonder
Yes.
Woman. But we're gonna go a little more in depth and
Yeah, now that they're all capped off, like the first arcs of
yep.
their stories are all seemingly wrapped up. We just kind of wanted to gush about how good these
that
three have been. Dude,
that's a good way to put it
where do you want to start?
because
Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman? I'll let you choose.
let's start with Batman because it was the
Hell yeah.
first one that came
Hell
out.
yeah. All
Uh,
right, bruh.
I really, first off, I want to say I really, really love what they're doing with his rogues gallery and making them his allies
His
in a
friends.
way, and
Yeah,
his the people who helped him become Batman.
yeah.
Oh,
In this latest issue 7, I really liked how upset they all were at him. How questioning they were of all of their actions as friends. Like,
how
wait,
they
like
felt
all of the stuff we
used.
were doing before, like, were you just like using that for Batman, or were you like actually a friend? Loved
Yeah,
all that. Because that would be, like we've talked to it in the extent of what we would do to each other if we found out the other one was a superhero.
we'd be
And it
each
would
other's like.
generally be
I
being your
would,
arch nemesis.
yeah, I would devote
You
my
know,
life to destroying you.
and vice versa. So
as
I
as I would
very
expect,
much,
I would be offended if you didn't.
I very much sympathize with their side of that. Of like, yo, why wouldn't you let us in on this? Like, what? Like, feeling so used. Love that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Although I can imagine like his logic with them is he didn't want them to try and talk him out of it, whereas we would just be offended that we weren't included.
yeah, no, right. I really liked what Riddler says when Batman says that he didn't want them to be a part of it, and then after they all break down how they were parts of it, Riddler's like, turns out all of us were a part, like with the apart. Like I was
Yeah.
like, damn, that is some like Edward Nigma shit. It was so good.
Yeah, I did find it interesting how they like alluded to in issue 6 how they alluded to different villains and then like I don't know, it just seems like they're kind of widening the net for him compared
Yeah,
to the other
with like
ones where
Freeze, there was like they name
like
dropped like a bunch of them, like Crane, Isley,
yep.
um,
Oh, there was a ton.
Strange.
Yep, yeah, Hugo
There was like a
Strange.
bunch of them. But Freeze, you know what's really crazy about this Victor Freeze is I have like this extremely old action figure of
Mhm.
like it was of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Freeze. That's what this one almost looks a little bit more like,
A little
where
bit,
he's
yeah.
like actually blue,
Mhm.
and like
It
uh
also looks like his physiology has been like radically morphed by whatever experiment caused him to become Mr. Freeze,
yeah, that was
like
really crazy. Where he was like, "I'm Freeze Junior." I was like, "What?"
yeah,
Like their
yeah, also
bodies are
it
frozen
being
in the back. That was so ugh.
yeah, definitely jarring. I was surprised by that.
And I'll
Victor
say
Freeze
this,
Jr.
dude, as
surprised
far as
me.
all of these go, from Batman down to now the new ones with Green Lantern coming out, this Batman seems the most similar to what we know
Hmm.
of Batman being, even though it is different. And
Yeah,
but it seems to be the closest to our our Batman, right? To the one, like his morals are very similar, even though they're maybe a little darker than like our Batman is willing to go. Uh, but like the real difference between him is his the dissociation between him and being a billionaire.
hmm
Like
him
that's like
not having the money,
the big difference.
him not
But
having
like
to wear the mask.
it almost doesn't feel like that's like affecting his Batmaning so much. Like it's
Mm-mm.
kind of crazy almost to like
Actually,
the level of devotion he can put into it by
and
not being a billionaire. It's
well,
kind of weird.
I would argue that it's even kind of raising the level of Batman that he has to be because he doesn't have the money to fall back on for the gadgets. He has
Yeah,
to
and
create everything himself, and he has to utilize
even though his cape
resources
is
to their
arguably, like
maximum.
much more fantastical than any
Yeah,
Batman normally is, and that thing is so badass.
yeah.
It's so cool. I don't understand it.
Not at
For
all.
the first like
I'm
five
not
issues,
even.
I was like, I don't like this cape. I need to understand it. Like, I don't get how it works, even though they explained it.
Even it doesn't make much sense. The explanation. It's
Yeah, but then like now
fan
I'm like, oh, it's
science
so
stuff.
cool. Just let it happen. Just let it wash over me, and it's fine.
He's definitely much more brutal and like I love the way that like Alfred patched him up and was like, "All right, now take a rest break." And
And he's like,
like he's like, "Gotcha," and then modified the cast immediately to make it combat effective.
yeah.
And then when he's like, "Yo, it's the radio." He's like, "All right, now that we're done with this,
Now that you're done with bullshitting me,
yeah." He's like, "We both know you don't have a radio, dude." Like,
where are you? He's like, yeah, nah,
yeah, I'll
yeah,
talk to you
you
later.
know, falling,
I
falling out
love
of the sky right now.
I love
Also,
how
I
they're
love that he's able to keep a calm in his mouth while free falling. Because right before
yeah.
Alfred calls, he literally goes, "I go into free fall." Is the words before Alfred calls, and then he's just like free falling, like, "Hello." You, you know when you're like sleeping and then like a phone interview like calls you and you're like, "Hello, I've been awake for 6 hours. How are you doing? I'm a normal
I'm
functioning human."
showered, coffeed, and ready to go.
That's how it felt. He was just like free falling, like, Alfred.
Funny you call. I'm just on an I Love Lucy marathon. No, but I love that they're already showing the relationship between them of being like he's just kind of like wants to look out for this kid who's like way in over his head,
Yeah,
but
it's
like
almost
the kid
strange. Like
is
Alfred
so
almost
fucking
chose the mission that he discovered Bruce is on over like his own daughter.
yeah.
Like it was like it's such an enticing mission, like for someone like him that he's like I was like, okay,
It's
like
interesting.
he's in.
Yeah.
Uh, but all right, is there anything else you want to touch on Batman before we move on? Let's do Superman
No,
next.
yeah, I think Superman. Yeah, I think Superman will be a good one. I really liked this one connected more to the overarching stories of the first arcs more so than 7 or 6 of Wonder Woman or Batman did.
Yes,
In that
yes, it
those
completed the
ones
arc a lot more. Where
started the new arc
mhm.
better, but this one, like you were saying, completed this arc better, I think.
There's a lot of questions that we had the whole time, right? Like, who are the Kents? Like, how did he? Because like
Hmm.
it seemingly is such a short time frame, and then we learned that it was a short time frame. That was kind of
Yeah.
tragic. That was a part of the tragedy. That
Well,
like,
that he's been on Earth for about 6 years. They
hmm
showed that it was 6 years
and he's
ago
been on
that
the run
they
for 5, so he was with the Kents for
for
maybe like
less than a
under a
year.
year.
It seems like the Kents were kind of like one of the stops. Like in the first issue, we see him going from different work camp to different work camp,
Right.
generally owned by Lazarus Corp. Um, and freeing the workers there or
Right.
like helping them in some way shape or form, and it seems like the Kents were just like his first stop on that journey.
On that
it,
journey,
it
yeah,
was
for
just like
real.
like a slightly longer
It was
stop
like
than
he
the
got to
first one
see a glimpse of a good life, and then
of
got it taken.
the life that almost was is like the
Yeah,
way
that yeah.
they put it
hmm
the way they put it in the comics was like
It's really a
there was a
tragic thing because
line.
he loses that home in
Hmm.
Krypton, and then like immediately, almost like there's that scene in that panel where the sun is setting and it looks all red, kind of like
Hmm.
Krypton
Hmm.
like looks, and he's like, wow, like I'm home somehow. I'm like
Yeah,
9 trillion like
yeah, I've
miles
traveled
away, and
9
yet
million light years and
yeah.
somehow ended up home.
Mhm. And then that gets taken like right away, so like
Hmm.
then we can kind of understand the radicalized kind of
this
mean Superman that we
this
see in the
Superman,
beginning.
yeah, this Superman not being like hope, and justice kind of because he wasn't raised by the Kents. He wasn't raised
Right.
with that. And
He
also,
has that good heart that he
yeah,
wants that, but like he's very anti-establishment, which I think is really cool.
well,
With
because he was raised by working class
yeah,
people
like on
instead of,
Krypton, yeah, and he
yeah,
got to experience life on Krypton. We
hmm,
normally see Superman coming to Earth as an infant, that was another thing I found super cool about this, is that he doesn't speak the language. He speaks
Yeah,
Kryptonian.
yeah.
So like when he gets here, he can't communicate. Where we never get that juice out of the Superman character because he comes as an infant.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So he just grows up a classic American boy.
And like everything he
You know?
knows is so influenced by the Kents, whereas in
Yeah.
this
Which is
case,
cool in and of itself, but like we've seen that version of the character so much that seeing this is so, it's like a breath of fresh air on
yeah,
this old
yeah.
ass character.
I didn't think
All of
about
these
it.
takes are like
Yeah,
breath of fresh airs on these like old ass characters.
these
Some
characters
of
that are
them I'm not
70, 80
as
years
like
old, but
keen on yet, you know,
mhm.
because I just don't have enough information to like it enough yet. Like there's only one issue of the next three out,
Mhm.
but man, like these first three, it's hard
They
to
set
not.
they set the bar high,
Oh yeah,
like very high.
like
I don't
oh yeah.
like I personally think before we move on to Wonder Woman, I want to touch on one more thing with Superman that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even really think about until right now. It just kind of hit me that like this Superman, it shows that he had as much of or more of an effect on the Kents than the Kents had on him, which in most cases, he, like we were saying, he was raised by the Kents since he was a baby. He's like the reason he believes what he believes is because of them. Whereas in this case, he was like a
He was the
fully
angel.
formed
I really
person.
liked that shit where
Yeah,
she's like, "John, like you don't know an angel when you see one." I was
like
like,
what the
"Okay,
hell?
I like that. That's cool."
Yeah, and it shows that like it really he affected them as much as it showed that a little
Yeah,
bit better in a
yeah,
shorter amount of time that they had together, I think.
yeah. That's really
Um,
interesting. The other thing that I really wanted to touch on in Superman is that the villain is really
they
interesting
finally
because the
revealed.
yeah, and well, Ra's al Ghul owning Lazarus, I don't know. That was a big reveal, right? Because it's
No,
Lazarus. You know, like that. That's Ra's al Ghul.
I just figured him being revealed,
What I
like
thought was
Raish
really
as a
cool,
character.
one, he looks dope as fuck.
Yeah.
Two, he's Brainiac's leader.
Hmm.
Brainiac is his underling, which is extremely weird. And like,
Yeah.
what level
Or
has Ra's al
or
Ghul risen to
or
in
at the
this
very
world?
least they're working together. It might be
Yeah,
like a Legion of Doom
I
type
guess maybe I
situation.
don't remember the exact like quote, but it just seemed to me like Brainiac was like in the subservient role when they were talking. You know, maybe I'll
Yeah,
have to revisit it and read it again.
yeah, I don't know.
Uh,
I can't quite remember either. But what makes me think that is the other thing that they talk about in the Batman one is the Joker Corporation, the JK Corporation or
yes,
whatever.
dude, he
So
looks
like
so crazy with all the like that. Like, what is all of that?
I don't know,
There's so much
Joker.
stuff that like
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily sure if I don't have enough like deep knowledge of the comics to know what it is and they're making a reference to, or
or
if
if
it's
it's
a
just
completely
radically
original
different.
thought that like I
Same.
and it's so hard to navigate that honestly.
Yeah. So what this thought
You guys
process that
tell
I'm going with,
us, you know,
yeah,
like,
please
is
let
there
us
things we're
know.
missing from from like previous comics, from things that like we're just like missing the reference to? You know,
Yeah.
like please let us know.
It feels though that they kind of are building a Legion of Doom though of some kind
Mm-hmm.
with Joker, with Brainiac, with Raish, with
Raish.
Lex, with like they could be doing
I wonder where
like
Wonder Woman is going to fit in all of this. Not to
see
segue over to Wonder Woman, but like
oh, that's actually a perfect
her,
segue, but
she's very disjointed from the story right now.
she's definitely like specifically supernatural. Like
Yeah,
she appeared because there was a supernatural force that was
yeah,
threatening the
right.
city. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whereas the other ones are
Okay,
just kind of doing their
okay,
thing.
we're getting into it, dude. We saved the best for last, you guys.
The coolest one by far.
I can't. I said it in the first episode that we did a while ago when we were talking about I think the first issue of Wonder Woman. I can't imagine. I can't think of in history a cooler version of Wonder Woman than this Wonder Woman. I just need it. I need it to be named to me so I can read the comics. If you guys know a comic that Wonder Woman is just that baddie, like just please comment below. I will read it. We will make an episode like talking about how cool it was because I'm sure it'll be extraordinarily cool if it even holds a light, let alone is cooler than this version of Wonder Woman, bro.
Yeah, because okay, there's just so many little things. Like the fact that she's willing to just do whatever it takes
She's
to
such a bad
win.
bitch,
Like
dude.
just the sacrifices she's willing to make, incredibly cool. Little things though, like all of her weapons that she has, the fact that none of them registered to
Dude,
Hades' underlings,
also,
like
not just that, but the fact that I think the quote she says to him, and she's like, "Wow, like for a god, Hades, like you're very afraid of my like little weapons." Dude, like she just makes these little cuts, being like, I'm that baddie, and
yeah.
like she
And he's
knows how much of a
constantly yeah, he's constantly like your sharp tongue. Like I'm like
dude, and
she's
like well,
annoying him with
seemingly
it.
too, like at the end, we see that he's grabbed Cersei, so he has like this like extreme power, yet
Mhm.
he's not attacking her.
Mm-mm.
You know, because like she's just on this like crazy level, dude. Like the way she makes that Buster sword that she has, like the size
When
of a
she
skyscraper,
yeah, when she cuts the tetracide in half, crazy.
dude, and then turns into Medusa. Oh, dude, okay, the three lassos, the
The
Nemesis,
last
which is like I don't know really what that one is. It's like a lasso of like just
hate,
power,
death.
hate, yeah. And then the other one is like the lasso of transformation that let her turn into that Medusa. Dude, what else can she turn into? What the shit that it makes me think is this is building to something. And what
Yeah,
is she gonna do at that culmination? These other
by
characters don't
by
stand a
and
light to her
no,
right
no,
now.
no. By and far, she is 100 times stronger than Superman. You
Dude,
know
I
what
was
I
about to say
mean?
right
Like,
now, unless correct me, dude, but she could solo this Justice League.
oh,
Like,
easy. Like, I
bruh,
don't.
like
She's crazy
on
powerful
a
compared to the other
crazy
ones.
level.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
granted, we
that
haven't
blue
seen the other ones, but
lasso,
yeah,
what does that one do? What does that one do? I'm so
I'm excited
curious.
to
I
see.
feel like a literal 7-year-old. Like,
See, this is why this is so good because like there hasn't been a comic arc that's made us geek out like this in a long
years.
time.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
Like it's
Where I
if
don't
you
know what's coming next because they're changing the blueprint so much where like normally in comics, even if something's new, there's a pathway that we know
Mhm.
things go. Like right now, if there was like a good way to put it is like if Jason Todd was introduced in this absolute Batman, I wouldn't be certain of his pathology onto Red Hood. Where normally,
or if he would even become him.
right, where like normally, like like if
You
there's
know what's
you know
coming.
that there's like an eventuality, no matter how creatively they're gonna get there. There's a place they're going,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I thought that for all of these as well. Where I was like, look, they're all different but same. But now I'm
To
like,
kind of tease and jump
I'm
ahead a little
gone.
bit with the next ones we were going to talk about is the Flash. Uh,
Yes,
with that one, like for instance, we don't know where they're going with that because we were just talking about before that, like the Flash's story with Barry becoming the Flash, and then eventually the Reverse Flash becoming Eobard Thawne becoming the Reverse Flash. Like his story
there's a
is
very
always
structured story.
like a predeterministic
Hmm.
path
Hmm.
to his story, and in this one they threw it out the window.
No Speed
So
Force.
like,
No. Well, there's only one issue, so like, yeah,
so like,
we'll get into it. Please, if you guys like this type of content, please like, share, and follow for more. We are Hosts4Hire. That's four with the number four podcast. We're gonna be putting out more episodes about this. Like Kyle said, we're gonna be talking about the next three issues that came out, which is Flash, Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern. So if you guys like this,
mhm.
if you like what we're talking or what we're saying about it, come join us on the next episode.
Yeah, go check out the other Absolute Universe if you haven't as well before we jump into that, so that you can be caught up. We don't want to ruin anything for you guys because
Yes.
this is some high level comic book content that we personally feel like we haven't gotten in a long time.
Yeah.
And before we sign off, we were just wondering, we wanted to just hit a little bit of spilled milk here. We got some more looks at the Fantastic Four First Steps movie,
Yes.
and Lucas specifically, I agree with him, but he has some
I am
spilled
nervous,
milk.
my boys. I am
Yeah.
nervous, my boys. Well, like, okay, the spilled milk originally started because like a bunch of pictures just got like released of like a lot of the characters, and just Joseph Quinn with the comb over. It just
It's not
he
great.
has such a chiseled like punk rock face. Maybe that's from me just knowing his face from Eddie on
Yeah,
Stranger
from
Things,
Stranger
and he has
Things.
just such
Yeah,
a punk rock vibe to him that like that's like his look, you know? That
yeah.
like that comb over, it looks so wrong on his face, dude, to me. I can't get over it, bro.
So
Please let
he
me know if you guys agree with this at all in the comments. Cause like in a picture of all of them, I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, like, God.
so my big thing with it is that in the promo, the first promo picture, I don't know if you remember, it was like the postcard almost of the
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic Four, and like his hair had the comb over, but it was like the up swoopy, like he had it was tall, like whereas now
Maybe
it's like the
that's something that's
flat
a
to
part
his
in my
head.
mind too, where like all iterations of Johnny, he has very spiky, big hair.
Yeah,
That's
like
kind of like a
he's
part
a
of
big
his,
personality, like
yeah,
he's a flame, like
yeah.
like
It's just like a part of the thing. So seeing
yeah,
it so flat on his head like that, it just, it just looks wrong.
yeah,
But more importantly than that, because that's just aesthetic. Like if
yeah, yeah,
Johnny's a great character, I'll move past the aesthetic.
yeah. That'll be
If he's a
whatever.
shitty character, the aesthetic's going to be a cherry on the pie. That's going to make me hate it even more. But like Kyle said, there's just such a capacity to be let down with this movie. Like, let's count how many things can let us down. Like, one, just the Fantastic Four itself, right? The last one we got was a horrible tragedy.
Yeah, we
We
don't want
we
to
we
talk
don't
about
talk
that.
about that one. All right. So just like the Fantastic Four itself is like a great capacity for letdown. Then the last time they did Galactus was
Mm.
oh extreme capacity to be let down with Galactus for all fans. Then
For
Silver
what we
Surfer is pretty controversial right now,
hmm
right?
with
So
Shalabal.
yeah, so that has a huge capacity to let me, Lucas, down extraordinarily because Silver Surfer is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
Doom
and
is to
Doctor
be
Doom.
introduced, like maybe in a post-credit scene or like a small role, like throughout the film. Like, dude, there is so much going on in this movie. It's a period piece that is tying into the MCU in a way that hasn't been done yet before.
Which is dangerous because
Like
like people like you especially like not a huge fan of that. We've talked about this
yes,
before, like not a huge fan of things like
right,
that,
yeah,
understandably. Me, I am a fan of it, but it has to be done
done right,
properly, and
yeah.
it's so hard to do it well compared to a normal piece of superhero media.
Especially in the sense that they're gonna have to connect it
Mhm.
in some sense. That's gonna make sense to the fans because we've been aching for that. Like
Yeah.
this lack of connection with the multiverse and all of this stuff. Like we want it. We especially
And
with
it
the
has to
Fantastic
make
Four.
sense, yeah, like,
Mm,
and like, especially with the Fantastic Four, it has to make sense, because that's their whole thing, is that, like, technically, well, like, there's certain, scientific things that get, like, fantasies,
right.
like, especially with Doom and stuff like that, but, like, it has to be grounded in some kind of it has to make
Scientific base.
yeah, or at least make sense to this itself,
Well, then, like,
you
and to
know?
me, like, I heard that Doom wasn't going to be a big part of this, but then,
Mhm.
like,
How do you
right
have
there, my
Reed
brain
Richards'
goes,
story?
"Yeah, how's Reed Richards' story going to be any good without Doom? They're best friends, college roommates. The whole reason that the Fantastic Four get their powers, right? So, like, how are they going to get their powers without Doom's involvement? So I'm just like, there. I just have like it's just such a big cauldron of questions and like nerves and anticipation
And they
that
have,
like
like, what, 2.5 hours to alleviate all of it? Like,
I know it's
it's
crazy.
a tall order, man.
Like if it happens, I will walk out of that theater the happiest man. You guys will see me here clicking my heels, and I will be just with glee on my face. But like
Or we'll be here very dour, very sad.
sad, sad. But we'll be here, and
We'll
we're
be
hoping that you
here.
guys will be here joining us. Please let us know if you agree with any of these takes. If you feel like this Fantastic Four movie like is going to be fantastic no matter what. If you feel like it's going to suck to you and like they couldn't redeem it, please tell us why. I will see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks.
Peace.